Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. I mentioned in my 2024 reading wrap-up that I might start to be more transparent in my recent reads videos, but honestly, it's quite hard for me to do that because navigating the idea that people care about me and my interests is quite new and foreign to me, just because growing up as a child, I felt very isolated and scrutinized and infantilized, and I felt like people were always making fun of me or my interests in general, so the idea that people care as an adult is just very foreign to me, if that makes any sense, especially since I started my booktube channel in the first place because I felt like nobody in person cared about like the books that I liked or were into the same kinds of books that I liked, you know what I mean? So it felt like I was swimming into a void in person, but like online also, it also feels like I'm screaming into a void as well. I don't know if any of that makes any sense at all, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it's very hard for me to be transparent online because I've always dealt with people's like ambivalence towards me, if that makes any sense. So then I expect that to continue. So anyway, I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but basically it's hard for me to navigate the idea that people almost like me in the books that I care about because I've always dealt with the opposite. Anywho, basically January has been a good reading month so far. When I came home from vacation, I was sick also, so now I'm recovering from that. Basically, I've read 20 books so far. Today is the 16th, I think, so it's been fruitful so far. But anyway, the first book on this list is called The Princess Protection Program. This story is a middle-grade urban fantasy following a young main character who's subverting her story as a princess in a fairy tale, and she decides to like take control of her own fairy tale, her own story at this new boarding school, but not everything is going quite the way that she really expects. I don't know, I rated the story 3 stars because like I think the author yapped too much. Does that make any sense? I feel like a lot of middle-aged stories lately have been falling into this trope of like telling instead of showing, which is so annoying to me, and I think it comes from a stereotype where they're underestimating the intelligence of their audience or something like that, which I think is rude to a middle-grade audience because like 8 to 13-year-olds are much smarter than you're giving them credit for, and I think that this story really needed to have more showing than telling. So anyway, with that said, I won't be reading the sequel. I think that the idea and the concept had lots of potential, but I hated like the delivery, if that makes any sense, because with less showing rather than telling, it meant that the world building felt weak and the characters felt weak and everything else also felt weak, if that makes any sense. I'm not really sure if this is something that this author has always done historically, because I don't think I've ever finished before any of his books. But anyway, basically I was really excited to read this book because I like the idea of like characters from fairy tales like taking control of their own stories and their own endings and their own destinies, but then I hated the way that it was written. So basically overall, I rated this book 3 stars, so take that as you will. The next book on this list is called The Spirit Bares Its Teeth. This story is a YA historical paranormal fiction following a young, autistic, transgender main character who's a boy who's at an all-girls boarding school in 1883 where the ghosts of missing students are haunting them. Does that make any sense? Like haunting the school. This book was so good. I absolutely loved it so much. For those who don't know, Compound Fracture was one of my favorite books of last year, so naturally I wanted to read the rest of Andrew's backlisted books, starting with this one. It was absolutely so excellent and so well done. Their world building is so descriptive and it's so atmospheric and it's so well done. The characters are so well developed and so distinct. I loved the friendships. I loved the plot. It was so intriguing and so thrilling. I love this book so much. I think it's so fantastic. I think it's so good. The disability representation is spot on. The transgender representation is spot on. I loved it so much. Like, this book is excellent. The paranormal elements are so good and so well weaved throughout. This book is so good, and I just really, really enjoyed it so much. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 to 5 stars. I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Hell Followed With Us. This story is a YA apocalyptic horror book following a young transgender main character who's on the run from the cult that raised him. This story is absolutely so excellent, and it's so well done. Between this book and The Spirit Bares Its Teeth, I would say that I prefer The Spirit Bares Its Teeth overall, but this book was also really, really solid and really well done too. Like, first of all, the world building is excellent, and I really enjoyed it. The writing is so addictive and so well done. Like, the queer found family, I love that so much. The characters are so well developed and so distinct. The romance is so cute and so well paced. This book is absolutely so excellent. I really, really enjoyed it so much. I loved the queer representation. I loved the plot and the characters and everything about it, the mystery. Like, I was so hooked from the beginning to the end. Andrew is such an addictive writer, and I'm so excited for whatever they will write next. I think the next book is an adult horror inspired by when Roe v. Wade was overturned, so that sounds really exciting. But anyway, overall, this book was excellent, and I really, really enjoyed it. So with that said, I rated it 4 to 5 stars, and I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Bingsu For Two. This story is a YA contemporary following a young main character whose life has always felt planned out by everyone else around him, so he decides to take control of his own life. I really liked this book. I say hesitantly, because, like, the romance was cute, the side characters were compelling. I love a found family. Like, the writing itself is compelling and addictive. This book definitely felt like a rom-com in all the best ways, but also in all of the worst ways, because I also felt like the main character's arc should have been, I don't know, explored more, felt like it could have been more deeper. Does that make any sense? I felt like it was eclipsed by, like, the romance, if that makes any sense, even though the romance itself was cute and well-paced, and it was definitely part of the character arc. Does that make any sense? But I felt like the characters themselves should have been deeper. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it does, but those are the ingredients of a rom-com in general. Like, that's what the genre is. It tends to focus more on the romance than the characters individually, than the characters themselves. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it does, but, like, overall, I did really enjoy this book, and I did still rate it 4 stars. I like the banter between all the co-workers and stuff. It's a very fun, lighthearted book. I guess, wanted it to be less lighthearted. I don't know why. But anyway, I rated this book 4 to 5 stars. I don't know if my review really makes any sense, so take that as you will. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, is called Biology Lessons. This story is a YA contemporary following a young main character who must flee her home state to have an abortion. I think this story is so incredibly important and it's so relevant, especially now. Like, it's so good and it's so well done. The writing is so well paced and it's so good. The characters are so well developed and so distinct. I love the subject matter so much. I really felt for the characters so much. Like, everything about it was so good, especially the ending, especially the friendship. Like, this book is so excellent and it's so well done. And like I said, it's so incredibly important and it's so necessary and it's so relevant, especially for everyone, no matter what you believe in, like, across the spectrum. You know what I mean? I think it's so important to have stories like this for everyone, regardless of, like, age or political beliefs or anything. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars because I truly really enjoyed it, and I was so emotionally connected and invested to everything that was going on. So with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely highly recommend it. So in conclusion, I hope that the momentum of my January reading month continues to be. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the snow emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!